Hi everyone. This is part 3 of The Poison of Unforgiveness, but now I am coming to you with part 3 of my forgiveness towards my ex-husband. I want to share with you what I had to go through to forgive him. I got married. I'm not going to say everybody knows my husband. I was married twice, so I'm not talking about my first husband with my baby. I'm talking about my second husband. And what God has showed me and teach me. It was very abusive to me when we just got married. It was very hard for me to understand being cheated on and physically abuse me, beat me really, really bad, until I have to go to a center, to a battered home. I had to call the cops because I didn't want to go back because I was afraid he would beat me and to get away from him. So I went there and I had to learn in this battered home 6 weeks, and they would help you to get a job or get a home, but they only will keep you there for 6 weeks and you have nowhere else to go. No people in the church came to help me. No people asked me to come and live with them or help me to get away from him. After 6 weeks, I had to go back. So I learned all this from seeing all this happening to me. And I went back and I would cry. I was afraid. I was doing everything the best I knew how, just for him not to get angry if he go out late and he come back and don't ask him any question where he was and stuff. And every day I would ask God, take me away from this. And people would come and say, leave. And everybody would say leave, but nobody would say, well, leave and go where? Leave and go where? And that was my hardest thing, leave and go where? A lot of us see a lot of people abuse, but are we willing to help? I had no one to help me. And I thought I didn't have no one to help me. But I would keep asking God, release me from this marriage, please. And one day he beat me really bad and I was going to call the cops, and God said, don't call the cops. Oh my God, why don't call the cops? That's what you do. You call the cops when you live in abuse. And he said, no, don't call the cops. So he left. He left and he didn't come back until 3 days later, because he really thought I was going to call the cops. And so he left, and pastor came to help me at the time. And I said, no, I'm going to stay right here. I was living in a church at the time and just doing ministry. And I was very depressed. And so I stepped down from ministry because I wasn't myself. I couldn't do ministry hurting and depressed and bruised and battered and angry and resentment and hurt for him. I had so much because I couldn't believe a man of God would do this. And so I had to learn. And then one day I was sitting on the bed, and the Lord came to me and he said, do you love me? And I said, yes, I do. He said it a second time. He said, do you love me? I said, yes, I do, God. You know I do. He said, well, if you love me, a third time he came, he said, if you love me, you're going to have scars on you. And all of a sudden in the spiritual realm, I saw my hands cut, my 2 hands and my legs cut, and blood was gushing out. And I was like in the spiritual realm, it was just a flash of what I was seeing. And then all of a sudden it closed back up. And he said, if you love me, you're going to have scars. And then I saw the scars on my body. And then he said, now I'm releasing you to leave. And I said, the scars. He said, my son took everyone's scars. He was disfigured on this earth for each and every one. And sometimes we have to be disfigured for God. We don't know. We don't know what it is we have to do. But I said, God, where were you? He said, I was right there. But I wanted you to go through this so you could teach my people. Teach them that I'm right there, that just how God forgive, you can forgive too. And I called up my pastor in New York, and she called me, and she bought the ticket for me, and I went and spent a couple months there, very abused, and people think you gotta have a smile on your face all the time. But I was a very hurting person, but I put a smile on my face, but nobody come in and say, Claudia, tell me what is hurting you. Many nights I went to bed and my attitude was really hurting, and people would say, oh my God, who is that? I said, just leave me alone. I was, I just didn't want to be bothered, and if I do anything, I would say, just leave me alone, and had a little attitude with it. And yes, we do. Whoa, Claudia did. And one day, he said, have you forgiven your ex-husband? Well, we were separated at the time. He said, have you forgiven your husband? And I said, yes, I have. I forgive him for cheating. I forgive him for not paying the bills. I forgive him for going out and coming back. And he said, have you forgiven him for the little things? I said, forgiving him for the little things? What is the little things, Lord? And he said, yes, the little things are when he didn't pick up his laundry and put it on the floor, when you were angry, when you were ironing his clothes to go to church or go to work, when you were cooking, he would not help you in the kitchen. All the little things. He would not take out the garbage. He would not help you do the laundry. He would not help you clean. And all these were little things. Well, as time goes by, I had 75 things, little things that he wouldn't help make the bed or clean up behind him. Nothing, absolutely. And I was so angry and always fighting, always, and I was like, oh my goodness, when are you going to help? When are you going to do it? Or pay the bills. Sometimes he would say he's going to pay the bills and he wouldn't pay the bills. So time passed by, separated. And the day that I forgive him for the 75 things, I cried. I went to the church and laid at the altar. In fact, in New York City, the church was on the second floor, and we was living on the first floor. The second floor, I was living. The first floor was the church, and Pastor let me stay there. Thank you, Pastor Carol and Pastor Rico, for helping me in the time that I needed it. And 3 weeks later, the Lord said, now you can go back on your road to do your work for me. And I went to Monticello, Mississippi. When I went to Monticello, Mississippi, that was my break-in. That was really learning about, it was really, Monticello, Mississippi is just a lady that I know, and I went there and really out in the woods. A lot of people may not know, but that was my breaking point. I had a Pastor Pittman, and his wife and his children helped me a lot, and had a little trailer. They got me a little trailer. Make a long story short, and I lived there. And 5 o'clock every morning or 4 o'clock, I would hear a knock on my door. and Holy Spirit will come in. And I would get up and just cry out to him, and he teach me how to have a deeper relationship with him, and how to learn to forgive, and how to get to that place of having that relationship with him and seeing angels. And so I learned so much in Monticello, Mississippi, for a whole year. And then every time I get money, I would say, okay, I'm going to get my divorce. And the Lord said, no, you didn't commit adultery in you, so he will. I'll make a long story short, he did. He called me, he told me, you have the money now. I came back to New Orleans and Louisiana, which I still live in. I go all different places and do my ministry, and do, the ministry that God gave me to do, so I could teach others. And I just thank God for helping me to do that. In what I have, I give freely. Whatever God revelation he give me, I give it to others freely give. And so I just ask everyone, to just all those who hearing that this forgiveness will help you, and you can share it and bless the ministry. Bless the ministry. Bless what I'm saying to you, the revelation I'm giving you, that just how I got healed, you can get healed too. And so I got divorced. He came 3 days later. I got my videos 1, 2, 3, and after a while, he told me, after I divorced him, he said to me he was in the wilderness for 7 years, that he couldn't get a job. He was broken. He didn't know, and until he asked God that he's sorry for what he did to his wife. And that is when it started. And one day God asked me, he called me, my ex-husband called me, and he asked me to pray for him. And I was angry. I was like, why are you calling me to pray for? And so I said, okay, I will. And I hung up the phone. And when I hung up the phone, the Holy Spirit said, why not you? He knows that when you pray, that God answers his prayer. He said, call him back. So when I called him back, he started laughing. And he said, you got convicted. I said, yes, I did. I said, okay, I will pray with you. And then I hung up the phone again. And then God said, oh, you didn't mean that prayer. I want you to mean it from your heart. Call him back again. And I called back, and that prayer broke all the hatred, all the bitterness, all the resentment I had for him. And now I could tell you how prayer does it. Prayer does it. And I'm just going to give you an example of when I prayed for him. I was praying for a financial blessing, and then he blessed me after that prayer was answered. So I'm sharing this to tell each and every one, let us be set free to forgive so the blessing can come. And now we are good friends. We talk. He calls. He asks me. He prayed for me. And when was my birthday last month, he sent out a beautiful prayer to me. And I was very touched by that. So I want to share this with you. Please forgive. The blessing will come forth, and we don't know how God will compensate us. But I have peace, I have joy, I have love, because he is a child of God, and God still loves him. And we just talk basic thing, how he doing, but there is no resentment. no hurt, no pain anymore. So I want to share with you about forgiveness. And please, it helps, it blocks, it take all the blockage that we have for unforgiveness. When we forgive, God remove it, and the flowing of freedom comes in, and the blessing will come financially, physically, mentally, spiritually. So I just want to thank each every one. When you share this, please sow into the ministry, and let this be, please, subscribe, share this message to each one who wants to hear it today. And not just share, but sow into this ministry, that what this would have done for you today. God bless. You can go on my channel and you will see it. Thank you. PayPal, Cash App. Just sow into the ministry, mission from God. God bless you. Have a great and wonderful day.